course, the majority of Russians live in apartments and they love these brand new apartments. Do you like these apartments? Let me know your thoughts. Welcome to Sam's Russian Adventures. I'm Sam, an English guy living in Vladimir, and today I'm going to talk about one rule or one law that Russia has gotten wrong. And I'm making this video because I want to help perhaps highlight the situation so that the law can change, because this is going to impact all of the people that are coming to Russia with regards to the new relaxed rules for applying for temporary residency. This is going to impact all of those that are already here, all the big YouTube influencers, the big channels like Wild Siberia, like Countryside Acres. This is going to impact everybody, and my goal is to highlight this problem so that everyone can try and get a discussion going so that we can perhaps try and change the rule. So look over here, we've got an English school, Sun School, well, English kindergarten it says. Is that his smile, or is that the cord for the hat? So because Russia have created this new law, which is an amazing law allowing people to apply for temporary residency without having to take the Russian language exam and without having to apply for a specific space. In the past there will be a quota system. That basically means there was a limited amount of spaces that you would have to apply and prove that you were worthy to be able to apply for residency. The second problem was that you would need to know Russian to pass the Russian exam, and so this prevented almost anyone from coming to Russia and applying for residency, because it was something that was reserved for people that have lived here a while and were ready to go through the process of applying for residency. However, the thing they've done now is removed all those barriers, right? So we're having people coming to Russia, and a lot of people are wanting to move to Russia. A lot of people have already moved, and a lot of people are already in the process of moving. And so this new law is brilliant. It's attracting all of these foreigners. However, there's a new law that's come into place not long ago, which says that a person from another country with a foreign driving license can only drive for 1 year inside Russia on that license before they have to pass the Russian driving exam. Now you have to understand that everybody who's coming on this new residency relaxed rules residency permit, they don't know Russian, and so to expect them to be able to pass a Russian driving exam and test, well, it's not realistic. Essentially, the relaxed rules apply for temporary residency, which is a 3-year permit. After that, a person has to apply for permanent residency, and they will have to take a language exam with the current state of rules anyway. But imagine you come to Russia, or you're one of the people that are in Russia right now, one of these YouTube influencers that are showing other people about life in Russia, and you're going to find out, you're going to get that nasty surprise that your driving license is no longer valid. And there's 2 categories to this driving license as well. If your country has taken part in the Vienna Traffic Convention, then you simply have to take the written exam, right, and to get a license. But if your country is not part of that convention, and that includes Canada and America, then you have to go through the entire exam process, the driving exam, the driving school, the written exam, the whole thing. And so literally in less than a year, we're going to have all of these YouTubers and these other people that have arrived in Russia, their driving license are suddenly not going to be valid. And what are they going to do? These are the people that are showing Russia to the world and highlighting Russia to the world, and they're no longer going to be able to go about their daily business. There's some families that have got loads of kids they're not going to be able to take their kids around anymore. They're not going to be able to do the things they need to do because their driving license is not going to be valid. And of course, they're nowhere near the stage of knowing Russian enough in order to pass the exam. We've got an English flag up there, but look, it says language courses, so we've got another English school there. Got an off-roader here. Now look, I know that a lot of people, the Russian people, are going to say, well, if you're coming to Russia, you need to take a Russian driving exam. What's the problem? We have to take it as well. But the thing is, they know how to drive, these people, right? They've taken driving exams in their own country. I'm not talking about people that don't have licenses at all. I'm talking about if you've got a driving license in your own country. I personally think that the driving license rule should come into effect once a person has permanent residency. So it essentially would give them 3 years on temporary residency to use their foreign driving license, and then at that point, when they go for permanent residency, that will give them enough time to learn the Russian language, because obviously if they're going to apply for permanent residency, they have to take a language exam to apply, to pass the test, to receive permanent residency. But to expect a foreign citizen who's coming here, who's perhaps got a big family, who's got loads going on in that first year, right? They're applying for residency, they're finding a house, they're setting up a business, they've got a whole family, kids going to school, all of that stuff, really hectic. To expect them to also study Russian long enough and well enough to be able to take a Russian driving test and go through the whole driving school and all of the training and everything like that, I don't think it's realistic. And I think all that's going to happen is we're going to have lots of foreigners that are unable to drive, are unable to go about their daily tasks that they need to do because they can't drive a car in Russia. And so that's what's going to happen. That's essentially how I see it. Now, as I said, this doesn't affect me. It has nothing to do with me. I can drive, I've got a Russian driving license. But it's going to affect other people. Slowly but surely they're getting up to the top of the hill. The tank. So check out this guy's helmet. That is absolutely fucking cool, that is. Sorry for swearing, but that is incredible. So I think if you're a foreigner, you're living in Russia and you're watching this video, reach out to your immigration lawyer perhaps who's helped you to apply for residency. Reach out to people, maybe local police, people you know, right? And just see what can be done about trying to change the rule. Because I think if Russia wants to be attracting foreigners, that initial period while they're on the temporary residency permit is going to be a very critical time for these people as to whether they remain in Russia or leave. And the fact that their driving license becomes invalid after a year, it's going to go negatively against their life here. And so, yeah, what's the goal? If we're trying to get people to move to Russia, we want to try and make things as easy a transition as possible initially, until they get to the point where they know Russian well enough to apply and become a permanent resident and also take the driving exam. That's my opinion. Of course, you know, there's going to be people out there that say, look, these foreigners want to come here, they need to learn Russian, and yeah, I understand that. But at the same time, you've relaxed the rules and said you can come to Russia and become a resident without knowing Russian, okay? But then at the same time saying, but you can't drive because you need to take the Russian exam.